Welcome to another episode of Obscure Hotline. Once again, I've stopped labeling the episode numbers because I don't know where we're at. I don't know, but welcome. Thank you for letting us be up in you. And I'm Bronson from Audio Hotline, and this is...
I am Bark, B-A-R-K, from the Obscure Mics, M-I-C-S.
M-I-C-S. I was expecting a K
single.
in there, but...
I wanted to do something along the lines of that song, like A, B, C, D, E, F, U.
Oh, dude, people keep talking about this song. I don't know what that song is.
It's just a pop song. But my 9-year-old was singing it the other day. I was like, hey,
you watch it.
you cut that shit out, you little demon.
But speaking of when you spelled out mics, do you get people a lot of the time that like spell mics M-I-K-E when they ask you a question?
Oh,
dude, it's a lot of the time. Yeah.
I know a few mics myself, but I tend not to talk about them. I don't like talking about people. Except for Tom. Sorry, Tom.
But now we love the buck, We fucking love the buck, so it's all good.
Right.
Dude, I will say, no shame in this game. There is a mic in my life that I do not like, and I would tell him to his face. So
there is a mic in my life that I not only do not like, I fucking despise.
Okay, I wasn't gonna go hard, but no, this is my least favorite person in the world, and his name is Mike. So
my least favorite person in the world is also named Mike. I'm not shitting you, and I don't care if he fucking hears it. It's my ex-CEO at one of my past jobs.
Oh, no way.
Dude called me a pussy, and I'm like, it's retail. Like, I was a manager of a retail store, and he called me a pussy. And I was like, and I'd put up with his shit for a long time. He was even banging the girl I was that I was living with. Like,
oh, jeez.
Super quick, me and said girl, went to school together, always kind of had the hots for her, got together. We both end up working for the same company. Dick Mike starts banging her. But, with me and my philosophy, like, I don't blame him. Like, it takes two to tango, like she made the decision to take Mike's D up into her P.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to be the douchebag that wants to fight Mike. Like, I'm just going to just be done with all this. And I was. And he's still, I still had to work for him. I made 6 figures. I couldn't stop working for him. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, dude.
And, eventually I did quit working for him after he called me a pussy and we got into a fight in my office. Like, he told me, I know a lot of people would like to make what you make. And I was like, fucking round them up, Mike.
Round those fuckers up.
Round them up. Fucking start interviewing now, because I'm out, bitch. I'm out, son.
Dude, yeah. No, I won't get...
Rick James, bitch.
Since the mic that I'm referring to still kind of is involved in a professional setting to a certain degree, I won't mention who it is, but dude, he's the biggest fucking douchebag I know, period. Like,
that tends to be the case.
Yeah. Oh. And this isn't like a misunderstanding thing. This isn't a Tom situation we got going on here.
No,
this
neither
is
is mine.
Multiple occasions of me witnessing with my eyes. Oh, well, dude, apparently we have the same life because we always just keep saying that the same shit happens to us.
Yeah. Except, you have sleeves. Why? I gotta apologize. I don't know what the heck is happening, but am I clipping on your end?
You're probably like at -6 for me, but
that's too much though.
Yeah,
that's a little hot.
You're running a little bit hotter than me is all.
But I'm just confused because I've got a limiter on.
Uh-oh.
It was working. Now it's not working. I'm not happy about that.
Oh, but let's go ahead and go through what we're using today, because that's always a fun place to kind of start, even though we've been bagging on mics, but
now that I'm pissed about
microphones.
What I'm using, sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am using, I wish I could pick it up, but I can't. A Shure M367 microphone mixer with a built-in limiter that quit doing its job. It really was working. I don't know what happened. That's running into an M-Audio Fast Track 2 older device, but it works really well. And I'm using a true obscure mic today. This is a Avlex CI31. An Avlex CI31, and that's on a nice OC white Aculite boom arm and a eBay shock mount thingy that I found a long time ago. But yeah, this is a condenser microphone, battery powered or not battery powered. And I was doing some tests on it the other day, and I was quite surprised. And you said you were going to use what you were using. I'm like, I'm going to throw in this oddball Avlex in there and see how this does. Yeah. Anyways, I hand it off to you.
From my end of like hearing you, I think it sounds good. But
I like it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, when we're doing this, like I don't get a true idea of what yours sounds like until you send me your file. It's like some of it gets a little weird. But another thing that we're using the same of is our little GatorWorks little quick release. Yes. I'm using one too. But
yeah, I like these a lot. But sometimes, if you're using just a desk stand, they add quite a bit of weight to what you're using. They do. And if you have a desk stand that could be tippy, this might not be the one you want. But I think I've got like five of the screw in, the 5/8 ends, and I've got like 3 or 4 of the, receivers. But
gotcha.
Love those things.
Yeah, they're great, man. The only thing is one of mine, it doesn't like to, I got to really force it in sometimes. That's the only thing. Oh, yeah.
It's so fun when you got to do that. Though. I have to pull sometimes on this one, or maybe I changed it out, but one of mine, I have to pull, when I insert, I actually have to push down to get it to click in all the way.
Yep. Same.
Not sure what causes that, but whatever.
Yep. One of mine is that exact same way. Other ones don't do that for me, but maybe it's a usage thing because the one that I have that issue with, I've used the most. So maybe, I don't know. But today I am using the GatorWorks quick release and then I'm using the Røde Broadcaster with the Rode windscreen. And it's got a little telefunky KB going into the Rødecaster Pro II. And I was considering using the post-processing that it has designated for the broadcaster, but I don't know, man. I just don't want to worry about it being baked in and having issues.
Don't know what it's gonna. You don't know what you're getting.
I think everyone has this issue a little bit, but when you have like post-processing on and you're like talking into it actively and you're listening back, it can be a little deceiving. Like you can kind of hear things a little bit differently than when you actually end the recording and listen back. And something can sound really good when you're recording and then you go back and you're like, that wasn't as good. Yeah. So when I tried the processing though for the broadcaster, it sounded like all the other settings in the Rødecaster Pro II, extremely modern and very presence boosty. Every single preset. Yeah.
That's not always a good time.
No. Dude, apparently people like a lot more treble than I do, because there for a while, like I kind of enjoy the modern sound to a certain degree, but I don't like the extreme modern sound, I think is what it is.
No, I don't either. I like a little bit of clarity and presence boost. Like I really do. And I've come to find that like the neutral tone is not for me, honestly.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think that when it's probably a lot of the same things that we've experienced. When there's a lot of something, you get sick of it. And that's what that's what I kind of see. Yeah. But, so I like a little bit of a presence, not necessarily a presence boost, but just some clarity. And then I like a little bit of between 100 to 150 hertz, like slightly boosted, not boosted, but just like present. And then a little dip after that. And then some of the mid's gone. And then other than that, like that's kind of where I'm at. That's
I like a very slight scoop in the mids.
Yes, very slight. Yes,
very slight, and I like a slight bump up top. And and it's funny because we've talked about this before, but like Bandrew, for one, is one of those guys that had me really liking that neutral flat tone, and that was and I don't so much like that anymore. Like the SM7B is fine. The Rode NT1 doesn't really sound that flat to me anymore for some reason, but I find, not the NT1A, but the black NT1. Yeah. Like a lot of people used to describe it as flat. I don't think it sounds flat at all. But I used to like that. And now, like as my ears get what I'm hoping to be better, it just seems muddy and it seems boring and dull. And so now it's like I listen to a mic like this and it's got kind of a boost up top, nothing crazy, but it's like, I like hearing that very clear pronunciation as long as it's not sibilant or ultra crispy. Like, but I think a lot of mics have that bump for a reason, and I think it's a pretty good reason.
It's really interesting that you brought up the Rode NT1. The review I'm currently doing, which is kind of a weird review, I'm going back to a microphone that's a little bit older. It's the AT4040 from Audio-Technica, and
I've wanted to try that for a long time.
Yeah, dude, it's good. It's a good mic. It's really interesting though when you look at the frequency response graph compared to the Rode NT1. The NT1 should be a flatter microphone according to the response graph. The AT4040 has what shows some slight boosts in the high end, but I would actually say the AT4040 is slightly more flat. Yeah, it's interesting though. Like according to the frequency response graphs, those microphones should sound the opposite to each other, but they don't. Yeah, I don't know.
And that seems to happen a lot. Like there's a lot of frequency response graphs that don't make sense, and it's not just the Amazon USB mics. I mean, there's a lot of them that just don't make sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like a little top end.
Yep. Well, and that's one thing that I used to actually say to some people, and they'd complain when I wouldn't put that graph up, and I was like, dude, you know what? Like, I understand that these specs, like that people like these specs. I love these specs. I love looking at them and everything and seeing what I should expect from a microphone, but they are not the fucking end all be all. Like your ears are. And so, so people being like, oh, I'll put the frequency response graph. I'm like, hey, guess what? Guess who made this graph? Guess who did these specs and who is testing it? It's the company that's trying to sell their microphone. And I'm not calling, companies out saying they're like all a bunch of liars or anything, but I'm just saying like, trust what's on your head and not, what's in the spec sheet.
Well, the spec sheet may, like, I'm sure you've seen too, but I've seen microphones with very similar graphs, but there may still be a wonky or dull or muffled aspect to them. And to me, the frequency response chart can't really show you muffled.
That's true.
There's just certain things, like, just listen to it. And if you really want to see the frequency response chart, Google. I feel like guys like you and I were here to more so let someone hear a mic before they buy it than to be Google for them. Because Google's probably, Google's not going to play a sound clip of the mic. You can find the frequency response and all the specs anywhere. And everyone has a computer in their pocket. Pull it out.
You literally made that comment with it.
Yeah. And I used to try to do that and put that stuff on the screen. And it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, unless I'm just holding up the graph on camera, which I do sometimes, like, it is not really worth the extra to put it in the video, for me.
Dude, yeah.
For what I'm doing. And then half the mics I do, that shit's not even available. You know what I mean?
Especially with, there's like older,
this mic I'm using today, I don't know if there's any specs or frequency response chart anywhere online. Probably not, Yeah. But if it sounds good, it sounds good.
Yep. Well, I guess that opens a whole other bag of worms or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, everyone hears differently too. So I mean, like, shit, dude, like the frequency response graph means, I mean, I guess that it's a good reference point of being like, hey, like this is how the microphone is supposed to sound. How am I hearing it? But yeah, dude, I don't know. I think that bottom line just comes down to what you like. You know, we've said it a million times, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And the one thing I would like to get back to doing, but I've just made a pact to myself that until I'm actually doing this more full time, which is a pipe dream, of course, but I would like to do more instruments like acoustic guitar, I'd like to get deep with it. That's what she said. I'd like to get, fucking accordion out on camera and be like, if you're a Weird Al fan and you want to know what this mic sounds like on your accordion, but it's time consuming. That's very, very time consuming.
Oh yeah. For
so
sure.
I like what you do. You break out the acoustic consistently and sometimes the electric, but the acoustic is I feel like the acoustic is a really good testing ground to show someone sparkle, lack of sparkle.
Yeah.
I feel like acoustic can give you an idea. I feel like voice can give you an idea of what something's going to sound like on an instrument, honestly. So
yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. I mean, like, I know it's not just us, but I should say that I think a lot of people that are very in tune with microphone sound and how it sounds on a voice could be like, oh, that could really sound good on an electric guitar. Like, I think that a lot of people can pick that out based off of like the mids and everything, so yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, dude, a big part of me only occasionally doing the electric guitar. So basically my prerequisite, like when I'm going to use this is if it is meant for music, but I have an issue with testing electric guitars. And the reason is like, you've got to put it through an amp. Everyone has a different amp. Acoustic guitars, they sound different. They have different wood. They have different fretboards, but to a certain degree, like an acoustic is going to sound a lot more similar than the variation in amps. So that's where I kind of have some issues. But I mean, like, you're talking about an electric guitar that has pickups in it that sound a certain way, going into an amp that sounds a certain way. Am I using, an overdrive pedal that sounds a certain way? It's just, it just gets very,
How many people run their electric guitars straight into their interface,
Yeah.
Like with an acoustic guitar, I would never recommend that.
No.
Like,
no.
What's the use?
Yeah.
But an electric guitar, like anytime I've laid down guitar tracks, I plug it directly in. I don't even cab up or anything like that. Now, of course, there's purists out there that will always cab up, but and I get that, and I think that's actually the smarter way. I'm just not a good enough guitar player, and I don't have good enough equipment to do that. So if I want something to sound good, I'll just plug directly in. But acoustic guitar is the way to go.
Yeah, mine always comes down to like whether I cab up or mic a cab or just use an amp sim is essentially time, time constraint. Like, is this a project that I can work on for a very long time? And, not very long, but, like I have a lot of time to work on this and really get stuff nailed down. In that case, I will use an amp, but guess what? I still never use a live take. I'm reamping it. I'm always reamping it. So I'm actually always playing, into a DI box, like the Countryman, I think is the one that I have. So and then I'll reamp it, and then I will essentially send that signal out to my, guitar amp and cab, and then mic that, which is a perfect guitar take. Then I'm getting just a perfect one-time take of that. So that's the way I like to do it. But
right.
If I don't have a ton of time to do stuff like that when I was recording more bands and everything, then I would just be like, let's amp sim this shit, call it a day, because there are some good amp sims out there. Like Bias makes some good amp sims. Amplitude's not bad. Like there are some, there are some more out there, but that's not what we're really going to talk about today.
Right.
Let's talk about amp sims.
We can talk about whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, dude.
We can talk about the fact that you're wearing sleeves and I'm not.
I
apologize to everyone. Like, it's not pretty. Like, but I
like it.
had a tattoo he worked on, and I do not want to put sleeves on it because I am a big man baby. And it's, probably shouldn't do it so soon. But so, yeah. You're getting a true Southern Ohio Obscure Mics guy tonight.
Fuck yeah.
If only I had a Bush light in my hand. If I had a Bush light in my hand, it'd be perfect.
I thought you were talking about a bush, like a pubic bush for a second. I was like,
well,
is that an Ohio
mind
thing?
having one of those in my hand either.
Like that's just it's an Ohio thing for sure, I guess.
We're degenerates, you and I. Like, how many people enjoy
bush jokes?
Our flavor, yeah.
So, I guess the way that I look at it is that, like, I'm pretty appropriate on Audio Hotline now, like, to a certain degree. Like, I'll make some dirtier jokes occasionally, but on here, like, I'm definitely more unfiltered. I'm still myself on Audio Hotline, but I'm like, this is where I'm okay to swear and stuff, like, because I'm not, trying to reach the biggest audience or anything. But
right. And I get that. I really don't like to drop many words on mine either. I will sometimes, and I'll be like, no, I'm not editing them out. Like, I edit myself enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't want to force people. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that just do not like foul language.
Yeah.
Watching videos. They want to learn about something, like, so, in school, not college, but in school, your teachers weren't just like, all right, today's fucking Mark Twain. And we're going to talk about how Mark Twain, fingered his butthole or something. Like, they didn't do that.
Yeah.
So, like this is kind of my outlet. Like, me and Bronson get to be degenerates this evening.
Yes. I agree with that. I mean, like, I don't think that it's not even something that we take it too far. I think that we're just allowing it to, we're not pushing ourselves to be more degenerate than we would be. We're just like being silly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a slightly satirical version of like who I usually am, because I can just chill, and I'm not fucking thinking about every word I'm saying,
Yeah. And there's multiple levels to that. Like me and you, like I will curse a plenty on here, sort of. But then on my music podcast I do, where we talk about listening to music and diving into stuff that I normally don't listen to, I cuss way too much. And then I hear it the next day and I'm like, man, it sounds like I'm trying to cuss and I'm not.
That's stuck in my generation. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. I cuss way too much on there. I'm just like, fucking this and effing that and dirt. And I'm like, I'm annoying. Durka.
Dude, but I did listen to the Ice 9 Kills one. It was good. It was fun. I had a fun time.
I cuss way too much on that. I just cursed too much, but I also despised every second of listening to that band's discography. Every single second I despised it.
Yeah.
And I like a lot of music, but as my buddy Neil on that podcast said, way too much wheedly deedly for me.
Oh, yep, I get you.
Too much wheedly deedly.
I Ice 9 like has never been like my flavor of metal at all, I've always liked like kind of what they tried to do. Well, like we talked about it at one point. How they kind of take the horror aspect, but like, would I like a band that is a little bit better to do that? Yeah. But I don't think Ice 9's like awful, but I would never once. I can't tell you that I have an Ice 9 Kills song saved on my Spotify or iTunes or anything.
Right.
And
yeah, it's just not for me.
And I lived in that genre. Like I literally lived in that genre. So I mean like, but no offense to, but like I it's just not for me. But yeah.
Yeah. And that's it's a good thing there's music like that out there, because it's not all meant for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's lots of bands and stuff like Fish. Yeah. Like every time someone's like, man, you want to listen to some Fish? I'm like, man, fuck no, I don't.
Dude, yeah, no, I don't like Fish either. Yeah.
No, I don't like to eat it or listen to it.
I'm a little iffy on eating it, but it just depends, I guess.
I can, like good catfish, or if I'm in Florida and want to fish sandwich, like they're delicious down there, but fish in Ohio, no.
I'm gonna be weird and just say like I don't really like cooked fish. Like I like sushi way more than I like a grilled salmon, you know.
Sushi's okay. I don't love it either though. Like I can eat it. You know, I can eat any fish for the most part, but I don't enjoy it, so why do it?
Yeah, I get you.
It's like Ice Nine Kills. Like, could I put it on for an hour of my life? I could, but why? I don't enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Talking about degenerates has made me think about something that happened the other day. And I don't know, like a part of me bringing this up, like makes me feel like I'm like being like, oh, look at me. But at the same time, like, I just kind of want to share it with you because this is something that I would talk to you about.
Okay.
So, the other day, my wife and I went out of town. She had like a work thing. I was texting you actually. We usually do our episodes on Thursday, but we kind of had to postpone it because I was out of town. So when I'm there, I'm headed to this coffee shop that was fucking awful. But I stop at the gas station and fill up on very expensive gasoline, you know. And as I'm walking in, I notice this girl that's walking behind me. And I notice this other guy that is like shirtless, wearing basically wearing just like short shorts. And this dude is like definitely on something, you know. And I like whenever I see that though, I feel bad. Like I don't feel scared or anything, you know, like I'm just like, oh, like this is too bad, you know, like, But then I think about the girl that's walking behind me and I'm like, you know what, like, I'm going to slow down a little bit and I'm going to open the door for her, make sure that she like gets past me because she probably does feel uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah.
And so I like kind of slow down a little bit and I like linger at the door a little bit longer than I usually like would, but I'll, you know, like obviously I'll open the door for anyone who like I feel like I'm not making them run, you know, but in this case, like I was like, you know, I'll wait it out. So I open the door for her and the guy doesn't say anything to me, but as soon as a cute girl that's like, you know, like 18 years old walks up, he's like, hey, could you have $1? And she like, I could tell she just like clammed up and was like, I do not want anything to do with this. You know, it's like, no.
Yeah.
And just like walks past and I'm like, you know, like I did my part. I guarded and everything. And, you know, I just was hoping to make her feel comfortable. So anyway, fast forward a couple minutes. I walk out with these energy-ish drinks. They're called True North, dude. Don't recommend it, but they're not good. And I'm making enemies today. True North is like listening to this. They're one of the 8 listeners, and they're like, "Fuck this guy."
Yeah. Screw Bronson. We're taking back our multi-fucking $1 million offer we were gonna do. Not now, buddy.
Yeah, not
Sorry.
anymore. So as I'm walking outside, I see that girl, the same girl, had left before me, and that guy had like completely stopped her. Was like in front of her, and I'm like, "Oh, this is uncomfortable." And then I proceed to see this guy put his arm around her and kind of like pull her in like this. And I'm like, this is fucking bad. Like, this is not good.
No.
And so like, I go out there and I'm like, I'm not like a big guy. I'm not a big fella. And I'm like, shit, dude, like, what do I do in this situation? And I'm like, so I turn to the guy and I'm like, hey, like, I don't know what is going on here, but this is my girlfriend and we've got a dinner date or a lunch date that we need to go to right now. And so this needs to end, you know? And so he looks at me, doesn't say a damn thing and just like loosens his shit and she walks away. And she was like super grateful. And I was like, dude, like, imagine that situation where a person wasn't willing to help. Then that whole thing happened. Like, dude, that's fucking scary. And like, it made me think about the fact that like, I'll like go through my life not thinking about shit like that a lot of the time. Like I see a guy like that, I'm like, yeah, that sucks for him that his life is going this way right now, and I hope the best for him. But I don't ever think about it from the perspective of, you know, like the girl that's walking in alone, you know, a few minutes later than me, walking past a guy that's like creepy, you know? Yeah. And dude, I don't know, man. Like I just thought about that and I was like, that is like, an extra layer of just like difficulty to your life just being a cute woman, like, and I don't want it to sound like being a woman is like a handicap, but like in this world, dude, it's kind of sucks,
Yeah. Well, men suck, man. I mean,
dude,
they really
honestly,
do.
they do. Yeah, I agree.
There's just so many crappy guys out there. And you hate to generalize, but it's just true. There's just a lot of really shitty guys out there.
Yeah.
So, and women, there's a lot of them that, are going to handle their own. But there's some, imagine being a shy or reserved or just young and inexperienced.
Dude, yeah,
when she's 30, maybe she would be like, get off me, don't touch me, get away from me. Maybe she has the confidence, but like, I was a people pleaser at 18.
Same.
Like I didn't have the confidence to tell people I didn't want to deal with their shit. And, women are going to be the same way. And sometimes a guy, I mean, what if you weren't there and he would have decided he was going to get a little rough or take this a step further? And like, could she have handled her own? Maybe, but why find out?
Yeah. Well, in like, I think in the world that we live in, like, not saying this is a bad thing, but I think that a part of me, like walking up and doing that, felt like I was demeaning her because I was like, me being a man, I got to get her out of this situation. But I mean, like, I think that it was more just like me reading how she felt initially walking in. And like, also not to mention like me being like, I have nieces that are her age. And I just felt this like protection to be like, fuck this, dude. Like, I'm going to say something about it, like, and walking out and seeing her reaction and everything. Like, I'm glad I did, because I do think, like you're saying, like, she didn't really, I don't know, didn't feel like, wasn't aggressive enough to, get him off of her or whatever it was, Yeah. But yeah, dude, I don't know. It's very conflicting. And that's kind of one thing that I wanted to bring up. It's kind of a sticky topic, but I don't know. It felt weird helping, but it felt even worse not helping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it felt weird being like, I don't think you're strong enough, so I'm going to do it because I'm a guy. But I'm like, dude, if I would hope that my wife, would have done the exact same thing, and I'm actually positive she would have, Yeah. So like, it didn't have to do with the fact that I, identify one way or another, but
like you
anyway.
said, you just kind of read the situation. And I don't think there's anything wrong with reading the situation. If it was like an 18-year-old kid that just wasn't confident, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, boy, girl,
if it was
doesn't matter. If you read a situation and tell that somebody's like timid and you see somebody that's a potential threat coming towards someone that's timid, and you being the 30-year-old badass that you are, sometimes you just got to step up and make things happen. So
yeah, dude, it was.
But I'd feel the same
weird.
way as you. I'd be like, was I a dick for assuming she couldn't handle this on her own?
Exactly.
Or it's you want to be like, I think you, like me, are kind of a feminist.
Yes.
And you hate to just assume you're going to be the big man.
Exactly.
So that's not how I ever feel either. It's just reading the situation. So I probably would have done the exact same thing as you, because the situation looked like it could use a little bit of reassurance.
Yes. Well, and I think that anyone, walking out and inserting themselves in that situation, regardless of who they are, what they look like, or what they identify as, like, something, she needed help. You know what I mean? Like, and even afterward, like, her being super grateful and being like, that was like seriously so scary. Like, I'm really glad that you said something, like, so yeah, dude, like, it was good. It worked out the way it did, and that at least someone was there. I hope that no matter what, someone would have walked out, whether it was like an employee working there or whatever. But dude, it just made me think, like, just about the stuff that other people that aren't me deal with on a daily basis. But then also, like, the aspect of being like, that's a really weird situation to feel like I felt bad for helping. But, like, I don't know, dude. It's a very interesting, conflicting kind of world that we live in, and I'm trying to navigate it, but
it's not easy, man. Because I mean, there's more and more people. I mean, I hate to generalize, but it just seems like there are more people with problems. There's more depression from the pandemic.
Yeah.
There's more, there's just more shit going on in the world, and there's more reason than ever for people to turn to, tweaking out of their minds. And there's fentanyl. There's just so much shit going on. It's like you kind of have to play the gray area all the time. Yeah, and I feel like you just played the gray area that day, and probably good that you did. So, not everything's black and white, even feminism.
Oh yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, because I'm definitely not that kind of person that would assume that I need to be inserted into a situation because I identify as a man. Like I would never be that person. But let's move to some happier shit.
Happy times. That's a good story though, because that is just to end it for me, anyways. That's something I feel very strongly about. Is like just doing the right thing in the right situation, and kudos to Bronson. I feel like you did.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
I feel like you did.
But yeah, no, I tried, and I mean, dude, it's just one of those. It's a weird situation, dude. It's a weird situation. But okay, let's talk about some YouTube stuff. Let's talk about some
YouTube.
So I'm curious. Like, I know that you post quite a bit more than I do. I would say like 2 to 1, if not 3 to 1, probably.
I just throw up all over YouTube, basically.
So I will say, like, okay, if a company sends you a product and you make a review for it, do you feel like anxious when you post it?
No,
not at all.
Nope.
Okay.
Zero.
Huh. Well, and I was curious, like, have you ever?
Now, what? Describe anxious for me.
Okay, that's fair. I will like reception. Are you worried that I would say like most people would worry about like their audience being like, oh, he did a good job on this review, I agree with his opinion, or blah blah blah. Or even I guess some people would be like, oh, hopefully the company likes it, but I don't ever feel that way. But I guess anxious, like no different than being like, hey, I just wrote this song and like I'm gonna release it. And like it means a lot to me. Like I put a lot of work into it, And so like, I hope you guys like it, like that kind of feeling.
Yeah. So, with that clarification, I can say yes and no, because no, I'm not worried that a company is going to not like it, and no, I'm not worried about what the subscribers think. Like if they know I got a free mic. If they think that I'm saying it's great just because it was free and I'm doing some kind of con job, like I can't help that, that if that's what they're going to think, that's what they're going to think.
That's
fair. I would never do that. Now I will make mistakes and think that something is pretty good. And upon further review, like us and the pod mic we talked about, that happens, but anxious on the flip side, sometimes, like if I feel like I have done a fairly good job for my standards anyways, on a mic like that Relicart PM2, I put a little more into that than I normally would just because of the DSP, the onboard DSP and the app and the computer thing. Like I feel like I put a little extra time and effort into that because the mic itself deserved it. Yeah. Because it had those features, and like if a company's going to make those features, like I want to pinpoint those features. Yeah. Like I do worry in that case, like did I do it enough justice? I worry, will they like it enough on that? And like if I feel like I did, if I feel like it was good, I do worry that they'll think it wasn't as good as what I thought. But
I get that.
That's rare. That's only if I feel like I have sunk more time than usual into it. Otherwise, this is going to be a controversial statement. You send me a mic, I do a video on it. 9 times out of 10, or even 19 out of 20, I should say, or 99 of 100. I don't care what the company thinks, because you sent me the product, yes, but that is dirt cheap for the advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much money are you out of by doing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how much did the mic cost to make?
Yeah.
You're not paying me otherwise, so
Yes.
I don't worry about it in that aspect, especially when like
That's
Toner
fair.
or Five Fine or someone like that sends me a mic. Like, dude, you got like $7 in this thing. Like,
Yeah.
if I help you sell 5, even though I said it was pure garbage, like, you still sold 5.
Those are and they're marked up as hell. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I can agree. I can agree with what you're saying. And actually, speaking of kudos, the Relicar video, dude, it was good. I
For
actually,
me.
well, no,
For
I'm
me,
just saying, like, for the Mayano PD400X, I made like a I think, I can't remember how long it was. It was close to 30 minutes. And then I remember I was about to click on your Relicar one and watch it, and it was like 23. And I was like, oh, damn, Bart goes deep.
Yeah. That's where the worry comes in. Like, hey, I put some time into this. I hope you appreciate it. Yeah.
No, it was good. Yeah, I thought it was a good video for sure. And
yeah, I mean, I enjoyed doing it.
And it made me want to try that microphone for sure. But yeah, dude, no, I agree with you. I can't say that I've ever felt really anxious due to, okay, that's a lie. There was one time I felt a little anxious. One time, and that's it.
Can you tell me what that one time was?
It was the Behringer vintage microphones.
Oh, I don't blame you there. You ripped that shit apart.
Yeah,
I don't blame you at all.
And it was honestly, it wasn't even like a, this is going to sound like a little ridiculous, but like, I didn't care if the company was like, I don't like this video. Like that was fucked up. Like, I didn't care about that. It was more so being like, hey, I signed an agreement that was like a non-disclosure agreement with them at that point. And a part of me was like, dude, what if somewhere in that agreement it said that I had to do a good review and they fucking sue my ass?
Oh, man.
Dude, so
that
like,
would suck.
That made me a little bit nervous. And it was actually something that I went and read over, and it didn't say anything about that. So I was like, okay, I think I'm okay. But like, that made me a little bit nervous. And honestly, for that reason, like, dude, I have a hard time. Like, I understand that, like, and Tom Buck probably understands this better than I do or you do, but like, signing like an NDA really freaks me out. But I know that a lot of YouTubers do it all the time. And I think at this point, I've signed only like a handful. So, but dude, I'm like kind of a freak about it. I don't know. Maybe some people are a little bit more like, yeah, whatever, you know. But dude, yeah, I don't know. That one scared me a little bit. But
it does present the possibility for legal issue. I mean, it is a little bit scary. Like, just to Toner, which I thought I'd never work with again because I've trashed a lot of their mics and they weren't happy about any of it.
Yeah.
I didn't think they'd send me anything else, and I frankly didn't want anything else.
You didn't care. Yeah.
They've never really done anything besides the T30 boom arm, which I think is solid for the money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's really nothing I thought was that great, but they reached out the other day, wanted to send me this Orca USB mic, which, spoiler alert, I kind of like a lot.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And they kept talking about contracts, and like, dude, I'm not signing a contract. I'm not, they're like, you got to release it within 7 days. And I was like, no. Like, no.
Yeah.
And so I just kept putting them off and throwing them off. And like, I'm not doing this. I'm not signing a contract for you to send me a USB microphone that's like $60 on Amazon that probably cost you $12 to make. I'm not doing it. Like,
no.
If you want to talk about financial compensation, we can look at contracts. But like, you just sending me a mic, I'm not signing a fucking contract, dude. Like, I am a fucking YouTuber with like 4,000 subs. I'm not doing a contract for a USB mic. It's just not happening. Yeah. And of course, it showed up on my doorstep 2 days after I finally told them. I was like, not in much nicer words, but like, hey, fuck off. Just no. And then it comes to my doorstep 2 days later. And I'm like, that's just kind of uncalled for, like, if you're going to go through the process, which I'm sure the contract was a 1-page agreement, it's probably something simple. But like, if you're going to introduce paperwork, it better be like that Lewitt freaking big box micro, that thing that they made. Like, it better be worth it,
dude.
To have
and
to
actually,
even read.
Might I add, Lewitt is one of the fucking coolest companies that I've ever talked to. Period.
Right.
So sick, like so chill. Fucking like, they're up there with Deity for me. Like, Deity is very chill, like super nice. He'll like occasionally just like email me and be like, "Hey, watched your last video, like so good." And I'm like, this guy is the fucking nicest person. Like
that's what makes you want to work with a company, and maybe that's what they're going for. But even if it's intentional, that's what they're going for. That's still a step above most. You know what I mean? Even if it's intentional, still that's what customer service is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, but it's always specific enough to the point that I'm like, no, he watched. You know what I mean? Like, and that's cool. Like, even if it was like he watched that video and not my previous file, like, I don't care. Like, the fact that he took the time, like, that's sick. Like, that's cool. Like, to me, that's like, hey, like, it's a really legitimate commenter just being like, hey, I liked that. And I'm like, dude, I appreciate that.
Yeah. I do too. And that's the folks at Ceramonic. Like, that guy reaches out to me all the time and is like, just checking in. Like, dude, you do not have to do this, man. Like, you really don't. But it just goes to show you what kind of people they are, because they don't have to do it. They could get away with not doing it, but instead they take the time and the extra step to do it anyways. It's awesome. And I'm not going to judge kindness, even if it's for the sake of maybe Ceramonic's getting ready to ask me to do something crazy. Like, I'm not judging it, because no other company's doing it. So
exactly,
you know, on my tier of companies to work with, like, you've put yourself there, and I don't care what your motive is behind it. Like, you're here, and the company that's like, sign this fucking contract for this $12 USB mic, or you can go to hell, Mr. Bark. I'm like, I will just go to hell. I will gladly see you in hell. Yeah. And then I'll play a thrash lick like, see you in hell. The reason that I asked that question about like the anxiety thing, like, full transparency, I feel some anxiety with every upload I do. And it's not a company thing. It's never been a company thing, aside from, like I said, with Behringer. And I will agree with you, though, like with your Relicart video, I do sometimes feel like when a company sends me a legitimate product that I love, and they're nice, let me say that. Like, if the two things coincide, I will like feel a certain amount of like, I hope that they feel like that I portrayed this product in a good way, and in a way that they liked, and that, you know, that I obviously approved of, you know. And so, but that's very rare. I mean, like, there's been a couple products throughout me reviewing shit that I felt that way about, you know. Yeah. But my anxiety always lives in the, like, I hope that my audience doesn't think that this is fake, essentially, you know, like, and I hope that they think this is genuine and that this really is my honest review. Like, I understand that there are probably people that watch me that turn it off at like the 12-minute mark, and that's fine. Like, if you're coming there just to hear it and gain your own opinion, that's honestly what I want. Yeah. So, I mean, like, if you turn it off right before my review section, like, I have no problem with that. The only reason I would urge you to listen to anyone's review section is if you are a returning listener, then you can kind of see the points that you agree with them and not agree with them on in certain microphones. So therefore you can make an even more educated decision based off of their opinion, which is kind of like sculpting your own to theirs, you know? So I do feel it in like a reception standpoint. I feel a little anxious, but it's never like a, should I reshoot this? It's always more just like a tingly little moment where I'm like, oh, okay, well, post, you know, and then it's gone. But yeah, it's a tricky thing, but it's like, if you, I don't know, man, There's some things, if you just worry too much, you never go get anything put out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that a big part of me even feels that way when it comes to like perfecting a video, you know, like I feel anxiety around that, you know, and and I don't know, I've like been trying to be better about just being like, hey, it is as good as it can be with the talent and the preparation and the, you know, like everything that I have at this point, it's as good as it can be. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I would agree. I mean, if somebody's getting the video from you that they get by simply sending you a mic, they got a fucking steal, you know, like absolute steal. And I would love to hear other people. Like, I would love to hear, like, maybe eventually this show will serve a, you know, purpose. Like, I would love to hear some other YouTubers, like their experiences and their policies and their, you know, how they go about things. I would really like to hear that, because I'm sure some experiences are different. Well, your experience with Donner compared to my experience with Donner.
F deuce.
Like, Donner's been cool as
no,
shit.
it was Donner. It was Donner.
It was Donner. They wanted you to put the video out, and they bugged you and bugged you and bugged you and bugged you.
Yeah.
And they asked me to reach out to Bandrew and see if he would do their mics. And I just kind of informed Bandrew that they asked me that. I was like, you know, I expect you to do nothing because I don't really care for that practice.
Yeah.
And he was pissed. And the next thing I'm getting an email from Donner, like, we're sorry we went about it that way. That was unprofessional. And I'm just like, you know, yeah, I mean, it kind of was. Email him your fucking self. You've got his email. Like, yeah, he probably doesn't respond because he's got Telefunken and, you know, Lewitt and Broad and all these people sending him stuff. And he's like, Donner. He's like, I don't have fucking time to do Donner, you know. So that's
fair.
Donner, that's why I'm here, bitches. That's why I'm here. I do have time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fucked up, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I do agree.
It is.
I do agree with Bandrew.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't love it, but like in your position, I would have done the same thing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So. Well, and I've always had this rule, and it applies to people as well as it applies to companies. Like, am I going to quit doing stuff with Donner? No.
Yeah.
Because, you know, much like I view people, like if I've got a buddy and they're like, oh, I hate, you know, Steven, he's a douche. And I'm like, you know,
goddamn right.
I totally understand your point of view, but Steven's never done shit to me.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I can't just be a dick to Steven because Steven was a dick to you. Unless I witness it and see it, but word of mouth, that kind of thing, you know, which word of mouth Donner has been annoying, but you know, once they annoy me, I'll cut shit off right then and there. But if they've been nothing but cool to me. Yeah. And you know, and that goes both ways. Like Moano was sending me stuff, and they still do, but they're like, they realize that Obscure Mics is, you know, not a professional publication, so they're sending me USB mics and sending everyone else the good stuff, and it's, you know, everyone gets a different flavor from these companies. Like,
it's interesting.
Different treatment, different. Yep. Yeah. And I had Rode reach out to me one time because the dude from Ceramonic knows him and kind of put him out there to me. And they sent me a really nice email that was just bullshit. You know, it was really, and I'm not mad about it. Like, they sent me a nice email like, hey, you know, this and that work together in the future. You know, we'll come up with something sometime and I'll get with you. And, you know, and they never did. And I get it. And that does not make me mad, dude. You know how many YouTubers are out there doing audio, and a lot that don't even do audio, but get audio gear sent to them anyways. And
yeah.
It does not bother me. Like, it's your company. You do what you want, but it is interesting just looking at the different ways companies are with different people.
Yes.
Just interesting.
Well,
is all.
So the way that I look at that is kind of similar to what we were talking about earlier. It's all about, obviously, like, the way that I look at companies is that they're basically all sociopaths. And it just comes down to the fact of like, they don't have empathy. They don't have sympathy. What they have is an expectation for you to help them in some way. That's it. They do not they don't fucking care about helping you. They don't.
No.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, Lewitt, Deity, like there are some other companies out there that have been fantastic. I'm not umbrella commenting a lot of these people, but I will say it is all about what you can do for them. Like, there are people in my family that I will get a call from when I can do something for them. They need a website made. They need like a logo made. They need, like today, fucking, if they need advice on audio gear, like they'll reach out to me. But are they going to text me and be like, hey man, how you doing? Fuck no.
Right.
No. And a company is the same way.
Which is a whole nother rabbit hole for me.
Oh, really?
We'll get into eventually. Yeah. Just, I literally did a podcast with someone, my friend Tabitha, who I met through podcasting, never met in person, but
okay.
Just quick breakdown. We did a podcast about basically fuck blood. You choose your own family. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of how I live my life too. I am the black sheep of my family because of the way I view family. Like, I don't fucking care if our blood's the same. Like, if you are an asshole or if you only reach out when you need something, guess what?
Yeah.
No.
That's
just
fair.
No.
Yep.
So anyways, continue. I love that topic though, because I feel like you're a much happier person if you live that way.
Yeah.
Family can bring you down hardcore.
Yep. Well, and it's very interesting because, dude, like, honestly, everything you just said, this is so fucking stupid. Like, that's the exact thing with my family too. I'm definitely the black sheep of my family, absolutely.
Yep. Probably because of what we talked about in another episode too. Like, you left Mormonism. I said, I don't like organized religion. They're like, he's Satan. And I'm like, but really, I'm probably the most generous and decent one of the whole bunch, you bunch of fucking hypocrites.
Yeah.
But
who's the one that's
whatever.
always doing shit for you when you fucking call and I never ask you for anything? Like this guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so
who's
yeah,
helping
dude.
the girl at the gas station out of a bad situation when you would have walked by and been like, Jezebel, Jesus will just no. Like,
Jezebel. Dude, that's true though, dude. Yeah. Fuck, man. But yeah, that's exactly, like, there is a particular family member that a couple, but like a particular one that I always look at and I'm like, that's companies. Like, that's what I experience from companies. Like, and obviously, like, I'm not expecting a company to do like a fucking a wellness check on me. You know what I mean? Like, I get it, but I understand like this being mutually beneficial, and a lot of the times it's not.
Like, I don't like smoke blown up my ass.
That's
like,
true too.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, I'll have a lot more respect for you if you happen to reach out when needed or not at all, because I do understand. Like, I totally understand. Like, some of my videos, we'll be a month into them and have 300 views. Some of them 3,000. Like, it's just so unknown sometimes. The baseline of this whole thing is mutual respect. Like, I will respect you if you're not fake, and I will respect you if you're, like Saramonic, being overly coddling of me. Like, hey, we think we like you and we want to check up and see,
That's sick.
Yeah. Like, just be real. Just be real. That's all we want.
Well, and I mean, I think it's fair to assume that, like, we don't even have to say Rode, but let's say like a big name. Let's say Shure Microphones reaches out to me tomorrow.
To anyone.
I don't think they have to, but I'm sure. Dude, I don't know. Let's ask Andrew. He'd know. Andrew would know.
He would. He probably would.
But
I don't remember him doing a Shure video saying they sent it, but I'd say if anyone has,
it'd be him. Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason that I have a hard time with the whole like Rode being like, oh, one day we'll work with you is because, like, hey, you should have the confidence in your name to send me something and assume it's going to get more views. What you should be focusing on is how I can review your equipment, not the fact that, like 4,000 people, like, assume that even 1,000 of those are active viewers, like based off of like what you put out. I mean, like they could sell still a decent amount of stuff if you review it. And since Rode or Shure or whoever sends it in, like, is a big name, it's going to get more views. So therefore, but like, I don't know, dude. I think that it should be based off the fact that like, we like the way you review shit.
Yeah. Which is a lot of the stuff I get is because of that. And then
like Ceremonic.
But like Ceremonic. I also have a major level of respect for someone who is upfront with their business plan, because we know how business works. Mm-hmm. We know that business is numbers. So like there has been times that I've seen a mic and I've just sent an email and been like, hey, I'm Bark. I run this channel. Mm-hmm. If you would like an extra review, I'll do this. All I ask is for the product, not for any payment, because I don't feel like I'm there yet. And, a few of those have responded and been like, our marketing department, we start working with, creators at 10,000 subscribers or something. I'm like,
see,
receive.
I like that.
I got it.
Yeah.
Like, cool. Like, just be upfront. And that's,
Yep.
Be upfront. Like I will email you again when I hit 10K to see if you want to revisit now that I know that.
See, and that's the thing. Like there have been companies that I didn't feel like were big, and there was I can't remember what product it was, but there were some channels that were smaller than mine at the time. But it was interesting enough that I was like, you know what? Like I like honestly, I think I've reached out to like maybe 10 companies, less than 10 companies.
That's probably what I've done too, because I don't like doing it.
No, it feels awful. But if I see,
it does. But if you see something you really want to try, before you buy it, sometimes you just be like,
hey,
see if they'll send it.
Let's see on credibility if I can get this, know, like, and so, but there have been companies, like I was saying, like there were channels that had half the amount of subscribers that I had. That was like, hey, they sent me this microphone and and I'm like, okay, like, so I got a good chance here, of like them sending it to me. And so I send the email and they'll just be like, hey, yeah, like we aren't doing that right now. And I'm like, okay, they just fucking hate me.
and then you see someone reviewing the same product a few days later.
Yep. And I'm like, cool. This is fun. But if I'm going to be completely blunt about it, Rode did that to me.
I get that they're picky. I get that they're one of the bigger companies. And again, I hold no grudge. Like, I just don't blow smoke up my ass, basically. Like there's really, honestly, there's not a lot of, I'm not saying this to be a dick. There's not a lot of Rode products that I'm interested in because they don't have a lot of products.
Yeah, no, I get you.
I mean, it's kind of like, I think we talked about MXL. When's the last time they released something new? Like Rode, you got the Rødecaster II, but as far as mics go, there isn't really anything new.
Well, I think they look at my channel and they're like, he's going to buy it anyway. He's going to fucking buy it anyway.
Right. Same with me. They're like, oh, this guy, he just used a Rode Classic from 1992. Like, we don't need to send him shit. He went out and bought this himself, and I loved it.
Yeah, dude.
So whatever. That's fine. you play your numbers game. I really don't though. I gotta say, I don't understand how most microphone companies make a lot of money.
Yeah, like, that's fair.
Like, how many people were shopping for brand new Nady microphones? And like, you know what I mean? Like, how many people are shopping for a brand new Relicart or F Deuce or until we put them on our channels anyways. But so many, like, if you're mass producing, like, man.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember the silver end address handheld condenser that looks like an Earthworks that I did, like the Shang Z?
I was literally just looking at that. Yeah. Yeah.
That microphone, like, I've noticed that when they get down to 10 or so of them, they cut the cost like crazy, like just trying to move them because they discontinue. Like, I imagine they make a few hundred and they discontinue it. I just bought another one the other day.
Are they doing them again? Because version. I was actually going to buy one. Okay.
Not the handheld, but the I'll send you one. I've got
Oh,
two.
it's like $40 or whatever, right? It looks more like an Aston.
The Aston. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. I bought one of those for like 37 tax and all or something because I want to see if it sounds better than the other. I'll send you. I've got your address. I'll send you one of those handhelds in the next few days.
Oh, you're sweet.
Dude, it was like $25. A good $25 though.
Dude, yeah, for sure.
Crazy. And that's what excites me. Like when you find something like that and it's like, holy shit, man. Like people can get just at least MXL V67 quality sound out of $25. Like that's cool to me.
Yep.
But
for sure.
Yeah, I don't understand how some of these companies make money. I really don't.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
So many mic companies.
It's interesting how stuff always applies to whatever we're talking about. But my niece, she sent me a photo and being like, hey, like I got some videography gigs coming up and I'm doing some weddings and some of the venues have really shitty lighting. Which one of these could I put on top of my camera that would like look good? And she sends me a list and like obviously she's looking for as cheap as she can get and they're like 20, 25, 26 bucks or whatever, you know. And so I send her the advice. It doesn't matter. But all I'm saying is like I honestly think that microphone companies and just companies in general like on Amazon but there's such a big like litter to be picked from though. But I mean just by fucking chance, I think that that's where some of the money is made and like quite a bit of it is just like Amazon being such a prominent thing and people being like, all I can afford is this. So like add to cart, you know, like, yeah. So I mean, like, I'm sure that a lot of companies, I don't know, dude, I feel like a lot of smaller companies don't make as much maybe as they used to because there's some competing ones, but there's more companies surviving because of it, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
But
especially probably because of YouTube. And that's probably why we get a lot of free offers from the toners and, you know, the oddball brands of the world, which is fine by me because a lot of those, you know, they make solid stuff like the F-Deuce and XLR mode, like pretty good.
Absolutely.
You know, and that happens sometimes. So, yeah, I just wish they didn't try to call the shots on like, you have to have this video out in this time. Like, dude, don't you realize I have 27 other Chinese made mics sitting here waiting to be done? Like I have more RGB, USB-C microphones with the same 14 millimeter capsule stacked up waiting to be done. I can't put you ahead of the others. I
can't put you ahead of the other 14 millimeter.
Yeah, I can't. I can't do it, man. Like, don't you know I have this other mic I can't pronounce that's been here for 3 months ahead of you?
Don't you know they've been fucking emailing me every week asking when it's going to be out?
So aggravating, man. Yeah. So aggravating.
Now that's going to conclude this episode of the Obscure Hotline. We did run pretty long while we were recording this episode, so it's actually going to be a two-parter. So we'll be back very soon with the second part. Thank you for listening. Thank you for letting us be inside of you.